Thanks very much, Tim. We might skip through to slide 3. So as Tim said, we are making the world's content accessible for everyone, and we do that through live and recorded captioning, transcription and translation right across the world. And we might skip down to slide 6, which really is a company overview. Started the company in 2003. Over that period, we have invested, one more slide down, please. We have invested over $50 million in a world-leading technology platform to deliver live captions with very low latency and very high accuracy. We are currently going through a massive technology transformation where we are getting more and more out of every piece of human input, combined with the artificial intelligence and machine learning flywheels that are continuing to improve the accuracy of that content, not just in English, but also into dozens of other languages. Since 2017, when we launched live captions with Facebook, that's when our R&D spend peaked. And since then, we've been investing in sales and marketing activities right around the globe. We listed in September last year, and off the back of that have also acquired 3 other businesses, one specifically being absolutely transformational, and that is a business based out of New York called EEG. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through, but really the strategy now is to take what EEG have built in the United States, which is an absolutely dominant position in US broadcast, where they actually manage not just the captions, but the video encoding and distribution for 100% of US broadcasters. And they have very little footprint outside the US. We've been their value-added reseller for the last 3 years. And in the first quarter, where we have actually owned this business, we're seeing enormous opportunity right around the world, taking advantage of those sales and marketing teams that are sitting locally across the globe. So we might click through to the next slide, which really talks about what is our unique proposition here. We are a true one-stop shop for live and recorded captioning, transcription, and translation solutions in what is a growing $20 billion market, and that is growing at about 8 to 9% per year. The really key thing in the technology transformation is in those tiers that you can see on the right. So we now offer a service that ranges from our traditional premium service, and this is something that you can watch on Channel 9, Channel 7, Foxtel, where we deliver accuracy of 99.5%. This compares with out-of-the-box accuracies that you would get from the automated captioning solutions of around 90 to 92%. So we're effectively delivering 1/20th of the mistakes that you would get through one of those fully automated solutions. But the exciting thing is that we ourselves have added automated and semi-automated products that sit on top of that, being Lexie and Smart Lexie. And a lot of the questions is, well, you know, are we going to get run over by Google? I mean, everyone looks at their automatic speech recognition that comes through Siri. It seems to be getting better and better. You know, is there a point at which, you know, our business model ultimately gets consumed by these big tech giants? And the analogy I like to give around that is it's a bit like driving a Formula One car. It's really important to have a great car with a great engine, but the fastest engine doesn't necessarily get you around the track the fastest. And there's a great clip on our website on the Smart Lexie page, which really looks at how the technology of automatic speech recognition can be tweaked and tuned to ensure that it is appropriate for a piece of content. And that's really where we add the smart. So effectively, we're not building the engine. We're actually the ones driving the car around the racetrack. And that requires some maneuverability. And the maneuverability actually comes from teaching the speech recognition engine the context in which it is actually looking to deliver. So for example, if you're looking at a cyclone in Kalbarri in Western Australia, an out-of-the-box solution produces a result which, because it doesn't have that context that there is a cyclone, of a cycling emergency with Halle Berry. And that is obviously something that is completely unacceptable to be broadcast on air. And the smarts that's required to get that out-of-the-box solution to a point where it delivers a much higher level of accuracy is actually a really, really neat little trick. And if we go to the next slide, I'll step you through exactly what some of those accuracy levels look like. So we talked about the out-of-the-box free solutions. That's not the area in which we compete. We deliver that premium level service at around 99.5% accuracy. But where the business is transitioning is towards the Lexie and the Smart Lexie tiers. If we start with the Lexie tier, this is actually taking the out-of-the-box automatic speech recognition engine and providing the context from metadata that's associated with that particular session. So in the case of the Olympics, which we delivered using this methodology for NBC in the US on the Peacock platform, effectively, if you were looking at the semi-finals of gymnastics, the metadata would have all of the names of all of the contestants, and then all the terms of art that go along with that gymnastics. What Smart Lexie does, and this service you can turn on 24/7 on Sky News Australia and see how it performs, Smart Lexie builds on Lexie by also providing some human tweaking. And what that human tweaking effectively does is allows in real time for news to be updated. So for example, if when Gladys Berejiklian resigned and suddenly you've got your first press conference with a new Premier, Dominic Perrottet, well, Perrottet doesn't sound how it spells. So you actually have to teach the engine when it sounds like this is how you actually want to put it on. And one of the great things that we've really progressed in the last 4 months is increasing the number of applications that we can spin customers from premium to Smart Lexie. And for a customer, the price difference between premium and Smart Lexie is a 50% saving. And then there's another 50% saving if they can spin down into Lexie. From our perspective, our margins moving from premium to Smart Lexie and Lexie move from about 40% to around about 80%. So it's a win for the customer and it's a win for us, and it improves the scalability of the model going forwards. Next slide, thanks. Our competitive advantages haven't changed since the prospectus, and they're fundamentally the proprietary technology that helps us get the most out of these speech recognition and translation engines. Security. We are not a B2C business. We deal with the top end of town right around the world, and we make sure that data is secure. And that can be whether we are getting TV content ahead of time that can't leak, or it could be where we are providing captions and access for important product innovations inside a particular large technology company. We integrate our systems with any particular platform, any format, any device. We offer multilingual everything, and we've invested in that global sales footprint. Next slide. And next slide as well. And just the highlights from Q1, which is really the first quarter of what is a transformational journey out to 2025. We are transitioning our business from being a tech-enabled services business to being a technology company with SaaS-driven revenues. So while the top line grew at 35% versus the PCP, we have managed to increase our margin from 39% to over 50% in that period, driven by that very strong growth in Lexie and Smart Lexie minutes. And we also introduced a new product suite called SubSilo. And what SubSilo does is it actually looks at the live captioning and provides tools for our customers to use that content to improve value in their organization. And the very first application of that is actually in Parliaments, and I'll talk to that in a sec. Strong cash balance, and we implemented a buyback scheme for up to 2 million shares. Next slide, thanks. A couple of key customer wins. Microsoft Teams we embedded with in the first quarter. We won the New South Wales Parliament contract, and as part of New South Wales Parliament, we'll be delivering live captioning, but also we'll be using that captioning to improve the workflow for the delivery of Hansard, which is obviously a really big expense for New South Wales Parliament. Turned on TVSN Australia Shopping Network, and delivered NBC's Olympics and Paralympics. And we might just skip through to the next slide. Again, the focus on growth here is taking that market leadership position that the US has, that our EEG products have in the US, and taking that global. And then the final slide is just looking at that revenue transition from tech-enabled services, which is where we were 100% last year. We finished June with that tech revenue being 76%, with that services revenue being 76%. At the end of this quarter, it's now 72%. And we're going to see that SaaS and that hardware line continue to grow. And we're forecasting that the services revenue will be less than half of the total as we transition our customers through to these more cost-effective, more scalable software solutions. And I might pause there and take questions.
Thanks, Tony. We've got a few questions. A buyback. We don't normally see tech companies put in place a buyback. What was the strategy around that? Does that kind of limit your ability to make acquisitions?
Well, we don't feel like we need to make any acquisitions in the near term. The EEG acquisition was so transformational that it's really given us a complete one-stop shop. There are no real competitors out there that can install the infrastructure and supply the services at those 3 different tiers. EEG was actually our #1 acquisition target and a real driver for why we wanted to list. Once we listed, they provided us the SIM just 2 months later. And what we're really seeing is actually sales, profit and margin exceeding our forecast. We're now, strongly profitable. We've got $15 million cash in the bank, and our shares are cheap.
Okay, good answer. So what's your revenue growth breakdown? We've got a question here: organic growth versus that EEG growth and that acquisition.
It's actually become difficult to unscramble the egg. 85% of the sales that we have made since the acquisition of EEG in May have involved both product sets. And a great example of that is NBC's Olympics. This was a US $350,000 sale, which comprised $200,000 worth of EEG and $150,000 worth of what you would consider traditional AI media. None of that would actually have arisen if the companies hadn't merged, because we needed both of those components. So the top line growth that we're seeing of 35% really includes that acquisition. We are also not necessarily focused on that top line, because it's a good news story actually when our customers spin down from the premium to the SaaS services. They're saving themselves 50%, but we're actually getting more gross margin and increasing our scalability. So the number we're really focused on is actually that gross profit growth. We are investing significantly in sales and marketing, significantly in product innovation. And that's really the transition of the quality of the revenue is really what we're more focused on rather than revenue. We haven't put any guidance out in market. We are in a transitional phase as we bed down this acquisition and we look to take on new opportunities in new parts of the world. And I think we'll have more to say on that when we deliver the first half results in February.
And just finally, Squid Games, I haven't watched it, but everyone tells me the subtitles are really poor on that. So can you talk to your technology and how it differs to others?
We didn't do it. That was done by one of our competitors. Yes, that was an absolute epic fail. And it does go to really understanding, those 3 tiers that I spoke about, premium. Like when you've got a piece of content that you're investing hundreds of millions of dollars in, why you would look to save $100 an hour by going for a cheap and nasty solution on the captioning, it's going to come back and bite you, as it did with Netflix. What we guarantee, and we've done this for years and years and years, and we stand behind the regulation that sits behind the captioning quality for our customers in Australia. They could be fined $420,000 if something like that happened on Australian TV. We've never had an instance of that. What it means is that you need to understand the importance of the content. The more important the content, the higher the level of quality. And that's something that Netflix got wrong.